So we're going to talk about these deportations, Isabel, in just a second. I should flag up as well, when we talk about the migrant crisis, the Sun's on a bit of a roll with revelations about this ongoing car crash of a shambles. It is reporting tomorrow that illegal foreigners are now paying £20,000 to fly into the UK with fake papers before disappearing into the rapidly increasing population. Others, apparently after clearing customs, ditch their fake or forged documents and head straight for the nearest immigration centre and claim asylum. So that's happening. And also, apparently, more and more migrants are once again, forget the small boats, well, don't, obviously, are once again climbing into the back of lorries. So that is rearing its ugly head as well. You know, so we must remember when we go on about the small boat crisis, this isn't the only method of illegal entry into this country, and the Sun is highlighting that, particularly this new method, which is paying a hell of a lot of money, £20,000 to fly into Britain with false documents. Some of them get through, others don't, but you know, once they've touched down, you know what it's like. You can't get rid of them. But anyway, let's now talk about these deportees. When we finally do get rid of, here's one. This is the Indian guy being chased by some very, very unfit officials. He finally just gave up, and they got him back into custody. But apparently this is far from rare. A guy appeared on Mike Graham's show the other day, and his name, he's a former detainee custody officer called Gary Costin, and he told Talk that there was a list of shame that has unfolded over the last 3 years of several escape attempts that just about were foiled. But the most worrying one was a Somalian on his way to Somalia, touched down in Turkey, managed to sort of get off the plane and run away, never to be seen again. And now this is all the work of the government subcontracting company, Mitie. Mitie are the people who supply these guards. Now, Mitie gave us a statement the other day about the Indian farce. We've got another story here. Another migrant deportee managed to push past the air bridge and get among passengers, was eventually found, I believe, hiding in the loo of an airport abroad. Another escaped through a window, and we don't know whether or not he was ever found. So it really is a mess. And it seems to me that Mitie, they gave us a statement about this Indian guy, but perhaps Mitie aren't doing the greatest of jobs.
So Gary Costin, who told us that there have been numerous escape attempts and some successful escapes, is a friend of our programme. Some of our listeners might remember he was the one that was totally unfairly sacked after being accused of bullying, in quotes, for sharing a tweet which had some news about the Home Office in it. And you'll remember he gave a pretty heart-rending interview. He's a very, very long-standing and loyal deportation escort officer effectively for the Home Office, and he was devastated to lose a job that he did so well. And you know, he's lifted the lid on a wider scandal here. Mitie not only appears to treat people like Gary, loyal staff, appallingly, but is also, frankly, on occasion quite incompetent, and it's because they appear to be watering down, we haven't put this to them, but that we're told by more than just Gary Costin that they're watering down the way that they restrain deportees, you guessed it, because of their human rights. So they don't want to use too many restraints because it might be a little bit hurty. And what happens then? You get people breaking for freedom.
Apparently, there's a statutory number of pain points we're allowed to apply. So a pain point is a restraint around the midriff. That's what our Indian guy was wearing when he broke free. So it's obviously not a particularly good restrainer. But you can't, if you're going to restrain around the midriff, you're not allowed to put handcuffs on. If you put handcuffs on, you're not allowed to put midriff restraints on. To which I would say, Why not? It's ridiculous. You know, if you could use both, then they wouldn't escape, would they?
Well, there are bits of that waist belt that have hand restraints on them, but they weren't being used in this case, probably for the same reason. So these escort agents have lots of tools at their disposal, but many of them are very, very inexperienced, as we saw from the footage there, simply physically not up to the job of restraining what are typically pretty fit and well young men in their 20s and 30s. You know, it's not much good if you're not able to actually cope with the physical demands there, because a great number of these people don't actually want to be deported. Funny that. And so they literally physically kick off. So I think Mitie has some very serious questions to answer. I'm doing a lot of digging on their performance on deportations and hope to be able to come back with some more revelations.
Yeah, the inappropriately named Mitie company, the not so mighty Mitie. But if you think about it, you know, we've been talking tonight, as we do so often, about the shambles of our migrant crisis, you know, the ridiculous nature of all the stages. You know, they come over in these small boats, they don't get stopped, we put them in hotels, we give them free everything, we never deport them, you know, and when we finally get the very small number that we actually finally manage to deport and we get them onto a plane, they keep escaping. We can't even deport them properly.
What a farce.
It really is the border farce. Yes, it is.